Hola, hola, quien te declara su amor en inglés, pero luego pasa 2 años aprendiendo español solo para decirte que te vayas. Somos nosotros, American Scouser TV Thursday Night Podcast para los niños geniales. Or at least that's what I would have said if I was learning Spanish for 2 bloody years without telling anybody. Welcome to American Scouser TV Thursday Night Podcast. That's the Tinnipa for the cool kids, joined by Brian E. Sherzi. How are you, lads?
Bueno.
Muy bien, el Macka.
Yes, we're Friday the 13th tomorrow, one lucky day of the year, one lucky date of the year. But we've a good bit to talk about, fair bit happening, even if there are no soccer games. So let's get right to what the topics are. We'll talk about Trent and his magic Spanish lingua fantastico from Duolingo. Thomas Frank going to Spurs. A devastating day for Brentford, but a great day for Spurs, I think. But we'll talk about that a bit. The Club World Cup not selling as many tickets as they thought they would, and why not? That's 150 games a year at this point. People are bored and they're tired and they want to do things. And then a new game just for tonight, wife swap, but for players. And it's a doozy. It's a doozy, I'll tell you that much on that one. So let's start with the first thing. We dispense with the fancy graphics tonight, because mostly because I didn't get to do it one time. We have Trent Alexander-Arnold doing his press conference, which I still haven't seen. I'm literally going by the reaction. But perfect Spanish, apparently. Or at least near perfect Spanish for somebody who has only signed for Real Madrid 3 weeks ago. Speaks like a true native. Brian and Susie, we'll start with Brian. What do you think with that? It's a kick in the knackers, really, isn't it? Sorry, El Kiko in El Knackerzo.
Well, there's a couple points I have to make on this. One, how do you learn Spanish in 6 months that well? I mean, I've known some people who, actually go there and do the online thing where they actually sleep overnight right there with Spanish and stuff like that, but they still don't speak near perfect Spanish. So, that whole theory is right there. So the whole in good measures of what when he was actually negotiating, you can toss that shit out the window. Second thing right there is, it's been a dream. It's something I've dreamt of a long time. I mean, come on, man. So it just goes back to a lot of stuff that we've been saying right there on across all these channels right there, from Gally to Kazi to myself to Sir Z. To Mushin. All of us right there have been saying this isn't just like a 6 month thing or a thing that he has now decided. Hey, maybe I need to try ventures. This has been going on for years, and this is rotten right there, basically, in my opinion. People can have what they want, say what they want to him. Okay, it was a great career. You helped us out, stuff like that. But there was no good faith in and how this transpired. And in my opinion, right there, this is going to a European rival. So it stinks all the way across the board. And, I've talked to, some of my friends who live in Liverpool and listen to him and said, he's not welcome there. They feel like they've been jaded. And, as a Liverpool supporter, I feel like I've been jaded right there. I didn't feel this way about that much about Michael Owen because, you know what, it was like a legitimate sale. We made money on it. I didn't feel this way. Steve McManaman right there didn't really. I could have seen why that way. We were kind of in the descent right there in some ways, but this is just like totally different. You just won the league with a side, and all of a sudden you're like, okay, well, it's my dream to go and play at Real Madrid. Come on, man. I'm not buying it. I'm done with the guy.
To be fair as well to Steve McManaman, his move happened at a time when Bosman was just kind of being explored, and the idea that he could make a crap ton of money as a footballer, like more than he'd ever dream of doing in England. So there was always going to be one test, and it was Steve McManaman. We're not complaining. I'm sure we would have done a little bit better with Steve McManaman, but we didn't do too badly without him. But Susie, all of the secret Freemason type hand gestures and ear signals and T-shirt leaving on the flag things and all that, he had no intention of even discussing a new contract, did he?
No, I don't. It's only above of what Brian had mentioned, and I was probably one of the only ones left standing that kind of saw him as a legend, and for what he did achieve with us, and putting all feelings aside, he contributed greatly. For Klopp's team, both him and Robbo, down the wings as defense, they completely changed the fullback position in general. And he contributed to that. But then you see this press conference, and it's just, I don't want to hear it was an easy move. I don't want to hear we'll have our suspicions of what happened, and as Brian said, there's no way. Yeah, I think he knew, and I think Gary mentioned it in Discord as well. The last contract he signed, he knew where he was going to be afterwards. All right, fair enough. It's his career, but it's the BS that went on during the season. Oh, I don't discuss my things publicly. I've signed extensions in the club without people knowing. Yada yada yada. That the Donald Duck hand signals, and then it's the whole. I'm right. You learn Spanish. James Milner can speak 4 different languages. That doesn't bother me. But it's just the way he did it, and it hurts as a Liverpool born and bred supporter. But then when you break down everything throughout the years of what he said, if he ever left Liverpool, or the only other club that he admires is Barcelona because he likes the way they run the club, and the players coming through the academy, and then that last year when this means more to us, if we win the league above Man City, and we all jumped on him. He was like one of the leaders, like dragging us fans through this war against City, and yeah, it does mean more to us. That's why you got 750,000 to 1 million people showing up to a parade compared to 200,000 max Man City's parade. And it was, but then it's the whole crying and everything at the parade, and then this, and then even more so, just it's his brothers more than anything. When there's expanding on his brothers, and they're the ones that just really piss me off. They're sitting there just obviously leeching off his thing. Oh, that's fine, it's whatever. It's his family, but that's what bugs me the most. Like his brothers had a big thing. They instigated this as well. It could have been handled so much differently. It should have just said from the go, look, this is going to be my last season. And I think FSG knew, and I think they calculated it would probably do better with him and winning the league, considering we're not buying anyone else, than just selling him, or if we could have got something for him earlier on, or even in January, we would have done better with him than without him, which is fair enough. When we took that choice and we won the league, and you can tell the club really don't care anymore. Like see the things that are posted and everything else. Trent's hardly mentioned. He's hardly in any of the footage. When Bobby left, we saw months of Bobby. Even after he left, we saw months and months of Bobby's stuff on the Liverpool website and Liverpool Twitter pages. Same as Klopp, same as Mane, and he's ruined his own legacy. And just for me personally, given the 3 that were in question, who was the last? If we lost him and kept the other 2, I think 99.9% of people, fans, would have chosen it that way anyway. We're not missing a great defender, and that's not sour grapes saying it. We're missing one of the best passers in the world, but then we're making it up by getting Wirtz, which is what we needed. So it's whatever. I mean, I saw it this morning, and I saw a lot of head loss, and we just move on. Like, he's not going to be a bigger miss as, say, Bobby was to us, or Mane or Dalglish or Barnsley. It really isn't. But it just shows that I'm no longer in that camp of being a legend. Like, he's a legend. I'm not in that camp, and I really, for UEFA's sake, I really hope they don't intentionally pull Madrid out against us for the Champions League.
Now, Brian, I mean, we can be circumspect about the whole thing. We could talk about all the great things Trent Alexander-Arnold did, But if your wife or long-term partner sleeps with your boss, it doesn't matter how good she helped you to build up your joint business or whatever. It's still gonna hurt, like the Dickens. This wasn't for Trent. It wasn't. He goes to Bayern Munich. Say we could call Bayern Munich a European rival, but they're not really a European rival. We're kind of almost on the same kind of tier. If we assume Real Madrid are the pinnacle of European football that everybody wants to be, everybody wants to get more trophies than they do, I think, and particularly since we have a close history over the past few years with Real Madrid, that's what stings, isn't it? It's the leading us on for a year, telling us we didn't know what we were talking about, and the media were making mischief, and he knew the truth, when in the end he was sneaking off to the local park or the local pond or whatever. I don't know what they do over here, whatever you do in America to have infidelities. Have it, because he was talking to them. He had to have been talking to them during the time that he decided that he was going to be a Real Madrid player, to be especially learning Spanish to what appears to be a fairly fluent level. For somebody who left school at 15, I'm assuming. I know they have plenty of money and time to do these things, but English footballers are not known for going out and learning for the sake of learning. He's not also fluent in French and Flemish. He's gone on an archaeological dig next summer to Egypt. You know what I mean? He's not learning for the sake of learning. So it stings for that, doesn't it? We put our trust in him. We wanted to give him the benefit of the doubt. We fought amongst each other about what may be happening with Trent and what may be not happening with Trent. But in the end, he turned his back on us all, didn't he?
It stings with there, but I'm in the ball in the camp right now that I think Trent's going to miss us more than we're going to miss Trent. I mean, because if you really think about this right there, over the past couple of years, Trent has took so much abuse with his England when he played for England. We were there to come through to back him up and defend him. He took so much abuse right there about his defending right there. We were there to back up and defend him. So I think in the long run right there, it's going to take one little moment right there, one little niggle right there. It's going to happen right there in going across over to against Barcelona. He gets burned by Yamal or somebody like that. And guess what? Trent's name's up in flames at Macka. I mean, this is what's going to happen. I mean, that's just the way things work with Real Madrid. He's been coddled and protected by the Liverpool supporters and by the city. So he's on his own now. And again, right there, I think that in the long run, he's going to miss us more than we're going to miss him. I think the other thing, to go back to one of the other things that I saw afterwards at the press conference, was seeing Paris saying how much of a great relationship that he has with our club. I so beg to differ right there. I mean, we came through and saw the whole issue right there with Mo getting pulled down in the European Cup, things like that. We've seen these we see that the way Real Madrid has basically sniffed around our players for years. I mean, again, even with this transfer right there, Real Madrid had no intention of paying anything over the odds right there for Trent. They were there to wait it out. The only reason why we got $10 million out of this right there is because they needed a healthy right back for the Club World Cup. That's and the potential to make the $100 million that they can make on there. On that right there, they would have probably waited till July right there for him to take him on a free and to move on with life. But so I'll just go with there with I'm done with him, and he's stricken basically from my memory on the last as far as Liverpool goes. I mean, it might sound bitter, but I think that we were treated wrong, and that's the way I feel about it.
So Z, we had this with Torres as well, going to Chelsea. Sort of a little bit like Michael Owen. I never took offense to it. He just always seemed like a career guy, like a Gary Lineker career guy. He was just going to look after his England career more than anything else. So there's never as much attachment to Michael Owen as there was to, say, Fowler, who was, a proper Liverpool kid through and through. But in the end, it really makes you, for all the, slagging we might give Steven Gerrard for like coaching and managing, etc., and the whole great player not necessarily making a great manager, as a player and as a Liverpool person, Steven Gerrard did it the right way, didn't he? Everything the right way. When Chelsea came in, even if he
I think he cut himself off.
I think we lost Macka there.
Yep.
So I guess we can kind of continue on that. Oh, there he is back. Okay.
I completely disappeared. What I was that's because I mentioned Steven Gerrard and Michael Owen in the same sentence. What I was saying was he did it the right way, didn't he? Whatever his decision reasons were, in the end, he decided he wanted to stay at Liverpool. Susie, and we will love him for that forever. Even he didn't go to Man United after he went to LA Galaxy. Why did he ever go to LA Galaxy? And even though he went and managed in Saudi Arabia, we'll forgive that because when it came to the crunch, Steven Gerrard treated Liverpool supporters like grown-ups, didn't he?
Yeah, and the managing is something different. We've had so many great players that turn out to be poor managers and whatever. And we've seen Rafa go to manage Everton, and I don't think it really bothered anyone. But as a player, yeah, he paved the way, and when he was tempted by Chelsea, I mean, yeah, he had his shirt burnt, outside the stadium and so forth. But Rick Parry wasn't giving him the contract that he wanted, and we wasn't going to lose him for free. We were going to get a club record fee for a player. Gerrard was, I guess, disillusioned with the ambition the club was showing as well, and he had a chance to work in Mourinho. And even after all that, he turned his back on him, and he still carried on winning for us. He still carried on. We had this discussion last week about the greatest Liverpool player, and it came down to him and Dalglish, and there's a reason why. He's in the final sentence with Dalglish because he is Mr. Liverpool through and through, definitely for the last 20, 30 years. And Trent could have, he could have been that for the next generation of players. He had that mural on the wall, and it's an iconic mural. It's an iconic mural for every Scouser in Liverpool, every Scouser kid in Liverpool. Yeah, now we have Curtis Jones, but he's just not the same. He's not. He hasn't had that same impact that Trent did. And all these, academy players. Every time you hear them when they come through, oh yeah, we saw Trent. Trent did this, Trent did that. If Trent can do it, we can do it. And Trent went from this, Scouse kid to being one of the best players in the world. Yeah, not one of the best defenders in the world, but definitely one of the best players in the world. He went on to be a vice captain. He's captained us a couple of times, won 2 Premier Leagues with us. He's done it all. He's won more than Stevie G has. His credentials as a captain is obviously questionable, and even more so for the last season. He didn't show leadership qualities, but I think that was just given to him through Klopp as an emotional decision. And we know Klopp, is emotional and sentimental to a fault. But he's like Brian said, he's ruined his legacy. Michael Owen still gets a lot of crap, and rightly so. But I think Trent hurts a lot more deeper. We even forgive. We forgave Torres. When it was a shock move, and yes, he went to a rival, but we got 50 million out of him. And if truth be told, like he was on a decline, like he was constantly injured, and we got the better half of the deal. And when you see what Torres achieved afterwards, which was nothing, it kind of softened the blow. But Trent, I understand wanting to move to try something new, but there's ways you exit, and this whole thing was just shiesty even from last summer, and the writing was on the wall. I don't even know why we were surprised, but I guess we just kind of fully believe it. But he was hanging out with the Madrid players in LA, going to Disneyland and going on roller coasters and everything else, and all that time we thought he was trying to tempt Bellingham to come to Liverpool, but it was the other way around, and but so be it. It's like I say, out of the 3 that we could have lost, we lost the weaker one, and we just move on. We move on, and we have moved on, and we're about to sign probably, definitely one of the most expensive players that the club have ever signed, and probably one of the most impactful players that we're ever going to sign going forward.
Now, Brian Trevor makes a good point about Trent. He's not going to have the Scouse security blanket over there. So if you're Trent Alexander-Arnold, this move now has to work out, doesn't it? It has to
absolutely. Absolutely. I miss Trevor too. But, and Trevor's plant for Allen. But I think that it's definitely going to come with Arenado and going to have a lot of he has to win everything he can possibly win there to actually make it to look like successful. And the problem is right there with them is they're not going to be very, as I said right there, like I said earlier, the security blanket thing right there too. And if he doesn't win everything, then it's all going to fall on him because they say he's supposed to be a defender. And if he doesn't defend, if he doesn't come in there and pass the ball, if he doesn't do all those things, and if he doesn't work out, I don't know where the return is for him. Honestly, I don't. I mean, I don't think that it's the gesture right there says that he said that he's always welcome back at Liverpool. I just don't see it. I think that we've moved on past him, and I don't think there's a way back for him. Just the same way with Michael Owen. There was never a way back for Michael Owen. He tried to come back. It never, and it was never, the door was never open for him. And I think that this right here, I don't think the door will be open fan base wise and club wise for Trent to come back. So if this doesn't work, I don't know what's in store for Trent. Maybe Man City, maybe Chelsea, maybe Arsenal. It won't be Liverpool, and that will just even tarnish his career even more.
Now, from a player moving to another country and learning another language, let's move on to a manager moving from club to club. He will also have to learn another language because it's a right-blooded palaver. I don't know what version of the Black Country accent that was. Sir Z would know. But Thomas Frank moving to Spurs from Brentford, Sir Z and Brian. On the EPL panel show, Glenn was not of the opinion that Thomas Frank would abandon the Brentford project this early, maybe at the end of next season, but clearly he was attracted, number one, probably by the size of the job, and probably, I would imagine, correct me if you think I'm wrong, but the fact that the pressure is now off the manager of Tottenham Hotspurs. So you don't have to win a trophy necessarily. I mean, you have to win it as part of your job. You have to go for it. But Big Ange he's completed that task, that the hoodoo is over and it's finished with. But also the fact that I think they're probably going to lose Mbeumo. They'll probably lose Wissa. And basically the vultures are going to start picking at that team now. And it'll fall apart within no time at all, which is unfortunate for Brentford. So as good a time as any to take over Spurs and to leave Brentford, I think. But what do you guys think of that, Susie? Do you think it's a good move for Spurs? Do you think it's a good move for Thomas Frank? Is the fact that Big Ange won a trophy and now that whole 30, 50, 40, 50, 60 years of forth, whatever the hell it was for Spurs, that's gone now. So now it's almost like a fresh start. What do you think, Susie?
I don't think it'll ever be a fresh start for Spurs, what Daniel Levy is saying. And I don't think Daniel Levy is ever going to leave that club. He has, 30% stake in that club. I think, as Brian mentioned in Discord as well, with Thomas Frank, it's, it's a poison chalice of a job. It's, but then it's a no lose situation as well. He wasn't going to get into the Champions League with Brentford anytime soon. He's got a chance to cut his teeth in Europe, be amongst the elite. It's a lot of money coming Spurs way next season because of the new Champions League format, and it's a good way to put himself in amongst the, Champions League managers, and he can either make or break it. Really, I guess if he makes it, obviously Spurs isn't going to be the last club he manages. It's another stepping stone for him, and if he fails, he'll still probably always have another job in the Premier League, unlike Ange, I think. So, I think for Thomas Frank, it's a good move. I worry about Brentford. I don't really care about London teams, but Brentford, I have a soft spot for. And, it's a shame because I think, like you said, they're being picked apart. Where Mo's probably going, Wissa most probably going. And I just don't... I mean, even though Brentford, they're typically run, a well-run club, I'm not sure who their succession plans, and I'm sure they have one. I hope they have one, but it's really hard to see Brentford like moving onwards and upwards from last season.
I mean, like you'd almost think like Russell Martin, if he hadn't gone to Rangers, would be that kind of an appointment there for Brentford. Like, but it's going to be a tough for Brentford. We've welcomed Cozzy, who doesn't look at his phone at 2 p.m. in the afternoons.
Hand up accountability. For the big
because you've been accountable, we'll give you 2 or 3 minutes to give us your rant on El Trento Alexander Arnoldo.
Oh, fucking hell, why me? I thought I'd missed
about to get cancelled.
Yeah, I'm not now. Listen, he's just an absolute rat. He's a disgrace of a human being, and anyone who tries to defend him anymore can literally go swivel, as we say. Yeah, he's played an absolute blinder. Fair play to him. We all felt that anyway 2 years ago, that this could happen, and he's played the blinder since he was 21 years of age. So this thing of Liverpool negotiating a contract, Liverpool were going to make him the highest paid football fullback in the world. Didn't want to do that. He wants to go and play for Real Madrid, no problem at all. But then don't also expect to dine on your words, and the defending of the Liverpool fans have had to defend you for years. The one thing that he didn't do in Paris, by the way, and cost us the European Cup to the team he's just, signed for. But, it is what it is. He's gone. He's a rat. He's a snake. I think for me, he's lower on the totem pole than Michael Owen is, and Fernando Torres and players like that. He might be the most ultimate traitor that's ever played for that football club. But, what can you do? I quite like the picture that Real Madrid put out when he's standing looking at the European Cup that he cost us, which is really nice. That was cool.
Yeah, he was wishful thinking on his part that you could bring it with, bring that with him.
Oh, for the love of God, UEFA, if the Champions League draw is fixed, please just do us a favour and give us them at Anfield, please. We just want to see him swallow it at Anfield for 90 minutes, and trust me, he will swallow it. And basically for our fans here, it means bottle it in the UK. He's going to swallow it. He will bottle it at our ground. And my God, whoever's playing left wing for Liverpool, I don't care if it's Gakpo, Diaz, Anthony Gordon. Please, for the love of God, do the fans a favour. Do you like Conor Bradley and Mbappe tackle? No. I want to put in the stand. Please.
You'd almost want to sign Anthony Gordon just for that.
Oh,
he doesn't have to do anything else. He doesn't have to score any goals just for that.
Don't care about Luis Diaz. I have a lot of issues with Luis Diaz's end product. I don't care about your end product tonight. I want you to rinse him all night. I don't care if the cross goes over Mo Salah's head for a throw-in. Just please continuously rinse him and watch him get hooked on the hour mark. It'll be tremendous.
Now, let's go to Brian quickly. Not quickly, we got to Brian leisurely. Leisurely, as they say in this country. But we'll go back to what we were talking about. Thomas Frank. I'm a huge admirer of Thomas Frank, Brian, as a coach. I think he's an excellent coach. He gets his ideas across very well, and they're good, positive, modern ideas. And he's got to try and bring that to a Spurs side who probably needs a lot of repair, I think. They need some surgery. Maybe not major surgery like Manchester United do, but they do need some. Is he the man to do it, do you think?
With the money that has come in now, I think it's decent as a possibility. I mean, right there, I think that there's some players you need to replace. I think you got to replace Son. I think that you need to look at somebody who can go, which could be like a Wizza or something like that, to go move over there if they're able to do the business with Brentford. I mean, again, right there, like I said earlier in the chat, I think it's a poison chalice. I mean, and I think that it's not a great job to have. I mean, you can just go look at the track record of managers who've gone through there and basically got churned out by Daniel Levy. I mean, and that's a big problem right there. I think that basically Daniel Levy has held Spurs back for many years. I think that there are some times right there where basically that Spurs should have came there and competed right there. I mean, you could give the Leicester City the year right there. Spurs probably should have came there and did a business a little bit better than what they did. I think a couple of those losses right there kind of gave it to Leicester City in a way right there. But yeah. I mean, I think he's gonna convince Levy to open up his checkbook right there to make changes with some of the players. I mean, obviously, I'd maybe go after like a Bowen or somebody like that right there. There's some players right there that you would try to go and freshen that squad up with. And I think it's a good possibility. And one thing right there is they definitely need to come to look out for a new keeper. I think that's one thing that they need to come out there and look for. Look after probably at least another again, Son replacement. I think the midfield's not that bad with them. I think they got there. This goes back to like a couple of those, like another central defender in there and a replacement for Son. And they should be in decent shape. I mean, I don't think they're going to finish in the top 4. I think that they have enough potential right there to probably go through to the knockout round of in the Champions League. I think they have that potential. I just don't see them go there being contending in the Premier League at the moment. But on the other hand, right there with Brentford, I mean, the only thing saving grace right now for Brentford right there is that there are 3 other teams that are worse. If they get picked off like vultures, then the teams that got promoted are going to go back down. I don't see any inkling of possibility, even though Sir Z wants Manchester United to go down. It's never going to happen right there because those 3 teams are going down. And so I think that's enough right there to keep Brentford up. But yeah, I don't know. It's an interesting thing for Frank. I thought Frank would have probably tried to go for another position right there. But I mean, I know United right there was something that he wanted, was kind of interested in. I don't think he was interested in our project and all that. But Spurs, I mean, good luck to him, kind of.
I mean, it's almost like if a typical Spursy thing to do. If they'd have timed it right, you could have brought Flecken with him.
Yeah, I mean, I've got to think about this. I think it's a tremendous appointment, you know. I really do. I think it's a great appointment. I think that squad is a really good squad of footy players. It's always easier for the manager to have a really good squad of footy players. When you walk into a job, I see Arne Slot. It makes it very easy for your job. And if you have a lad who can score goals and lads who can score goals, it makes your job 50% easier. And they do if they can keep Solanke fit. And Brennan Johnson looks like he can get a goal as well. Kulusevski, they got to get him fit. It's like what a football player he is. I think a lot of Liverpool fans like him a lot, and just can't get him fit. Their biggest issue this year, they haven't been able to hit the 2 centre halves on the pitch at any one time. I think Van der Ven's played like 12 games, and I think Romero's played like 18. I think, and when they play together, I think their record's like a 70% win record when they're together, which is super interesting. So it's like, as much as injuries, of course, have affected Spurs this year, that's the key. It's the 2 centre half. They need a centre half badly, and they've got to pick one. Which one they've got to put the house on? Romero stinks of Saudi Arabia for me. Just stinks of that time and age where I don't know, just thinks of that kind of move, really. I don't know, man. I'm not as down. Not down as I'd say if I was Spurs. I think if I was Spurs, I'd be over the moon with the appointment tonight. I slightly disagree with Brian. I think Spurs can get top 4. You know, I did pick them last year. I know some might be, kind of biased on my account a little bit there as well, but I think they can. I don't think they're as far away as what people think. I think we're United are miles away. I think they are not as far away. Do you get one in a super weird way? But there's also a part of this, gents, where you're saying open up the checkbook. He spent money leaving. He spent 70 million on Solanke up front. Like, he spent decent, he spent good money in the last couple of years. I'm not saying, he's fucking flashing the cash like Rockefeller. He's not. But he's also, Thomas Frank's only going to come if there's money get there. He's not going to leave a really stable job in Brentford in the Premier League if there's not money there. And the thing about taking a different job, well, at United, you mentioned United, Brian, which is interesting. That was why Dan Ashworth fell out with the ownership, because he recommended like a Thomas Frank and someone else, and they were like, no, don't really fancy that. Like, he's not our cup of tea. And he was like, I think he recommended Eddie Howe, and I think it was Thomas Frank and Eddie Howe, and they wanted someone a bit more luxurious. So that's why kind of Dan Ashworth left. So he has been linked to those jobs as well. Do you know what I mean? And I think Spurs are probably still one of the, we're arguing here, top 6 biggest clubs in the league. Biggest. You can argue success, but biggest, probably. Do you know what I mean? That stadium's amazing. They're in the Champions League, you know what I mean? And if I was Thomas Frank, I'd be putting a big circle around the League Cup this year. A really big circle around it and go, we can win that, 6 games to win it, and go back to back and trophy, Spurs. And then you really are setting a precedent. You don't want to make the Europa League a one-off. You want to build on it. So you can put a big circle around the League Cup and go, listen, if you draw City away, you can swallow it, can't you? Do you know what I mean? But if you get a few bum sides at home, then if you get to the quarterfinals, no, lads, all the eggs are in that basket. That ends in February. Sorry, that into the end of February, and then we can all kick on from there. If as long as you're in 6th, win the League Cup in February, when in 6th, okay, well, now we can kick on for the top 4. Do you get what I mean? So I think it can click for them anyway. But go watch the Brentford, by the way. Kieran McKenna just thinks of it, doesn't it? Just thinks of it.
It does. I don't see it now personally. I don't think he's a fantastic coach, but that's the level. Look, that's the kind of project thing.
That's what I'm saying. Like, if he was going to get a Premier League job, if he thinks he's that Brentford job now, where it's a bit of a hit and miss. They've got a bit of money in the door from Wembley. They might do Whistler and stuff like that. So there's money in the door. You might give the kid 80, 90 million to go and spend, and before you know it, they look like an half-decent footy team. I think they might do Kieran McKenna.
I mean, like, there was flashes at Ipswich that he could do something. He just couldn't get that. You couldn't make that work, you know. So
there's also part of this, Mac, as well. If you do Kieran McKenna, if you're Kieran McKenna, you're really like, really want to be at the top jobs, then you can go there and go, come here for 3 years. Hey, Ruben Amorim's not lasting 3 years, and you want to go back to United. Yeah. But if you come here for 3 years and prove to yourself that you can be, get us in Europe, playing a bit of European football. By the way, would it be a surprise to you if Brentford? I always think I started to think about clubs like this now, gents. Would you be more surprised if Brentford finished 7th or 16th? I'd be more surprised they finished 16th and 7th. So when you're in that level of Brighton and Brentford and those type of teams in a Fulham, you should be wanting to try and challenge for that last European spot. Do you know what I mean? You should be all over that last European spot. So I do think it might do Kieran McKenna.
Susie, just on the Brentford side, what must you think of your Queevy and Kelleher?
You must have known. You must have known.
So you must know who's coming in as well.
Probably had a suspicion, but I think Kelleher, who's just so desperate to leave Liverpool, and not in a bad way, not in a Trent way, but just desperate to get.
It's different for keepers, isn't it? Because for an outfield player, you can't kind of move around positions a bit. You can't do that as a keeper. You're either the starting keeper or you're the training partner. There's no two ways about it.
Can you do a job at right back today?
Can you do a job at right back? Can we win?
I mean, it's not a toxic club that he's walking into. It's a well-run club. He knows at least 2-3 players there already. So, I mean, I don't think he went to Brentford because of Thomas Frank. I think he went to Brentford because, 1, it's Brentford. 2, he's almost guaranteed to be number 1. And Thomas Frank, managers come and go. But, I think Kelleher will be all right. I hope Brentford are okay.
Yeah. And then, finally, Brian, for Spurs, it seems to me that Ange's biggest problem was keeping the players fit, and that has probably more to do with training methods than it has to do with the actual quality of the squad. It's you usually train players into injuries if they're not getting smacked around the place on the pitch. Thomas Frank, I don't know what his injury record was like, but he kept the small squad fairly together. So it's if you're Spurs fans. And who would want to be that? But if you are Spurs fans, you're probably looking at comparing the records now and the stats of it and going, okay, we might actually be able to keep a team together for more than 6 games this year.
I think also, and not just the injury record, it's also the ability to adapt. And I think that Frank can actually adapt in a game and change his tactics with it, where Ange basically said, this is how we're playing and we're moving this and this is how we're going to do it. And I think that's what how the adaptability that Frank has right there is going to be a big win for Spurs. It's really ironic right now because I think that we were talking about Brentford, the perfect manager for Brentford would have been Potter. I think that Potter would have been great for them. It just didn't go out there and the timing didn't come out right there. But I think Potter would probably be better at Brentford than he's going to be at West Ham. But regardless, I think that Ange right there is. This is one of those things right there. I think that he just niggled Levy to the point right there where why did we finish at this right there? Yeah, we won a European Cup, but that European Cup right there was basically a toss-up anyway. It was, it was probably, once we get there, got to the final, it was like, okay, this is like the less of the less versus the less. The kind of situation right there. And so, a lot of people thought that would have saved his job right there, but ultimately right there, it's just an overall performance and looking across the season, even with the injuries that you were talking about right there, Kasi, with them, I think that was surprising. But again, he never adapted. He never changed what he wanted to do right there. And he played full offensive methodology, kind of like Russell Martin, kind of the same exact thing right there. If you don't adapt in this league, you're going to get done by, and he didn't.
Can I follow up on that, right? And I agree with you, by the way, because I was a bit of an anti-skeptic. But when they played Frankfurt, and he went away from home, and he just put 10 men behind the ball and hit them on the counter, and I was like, it's the first time I thought, oh, is he learning here? Like, is he like? I think they won 1-0, didn't he? He drew 1-1.
Yeah.
I think it was a tight game. And then he kind of did it in the final. He scored, and he just put 10 men behind the ball. And I was like, maybe he isn't. Maybe it might have taken too long to adapt, but he has adapted. But the thing is with Ange as well, I've just got a weird feeling in my head, and don't go with me on this, that he just could be the next Napoli manager. I've just got a feeling that Conte could just lose his head by Christmas, because Conte loses his head in every job he's had. He wanted to leave after winning the league. Do you know what I mean? Like, he just genuinely wanted to go anyway. And he might just lose his league. And then you get to Bayern Munich or someone like that with company who's not the greatest, do you know what I mean? Or a Bayer Leverkusen or someone. And so I think Ange will get a top job as well.
No, Stephen Kemp asked about Giovanni van Bronckhorst. Not the time tonight for us to be talking about, but something to be keeping an eye on.
He is better than Trent. He can play. Yeah, he can play.
Yeah, you can probably play him up right back now.
Yeah, get him in.
But now, as we prepare for the outbreak of World War III, apparently the Club World Cup is falling on its arse by the sounds of things in ticket sales. I don't think any of us could be any happier about that, but I didn't realize it was so big. I hadn't looked at it in depth. There we go. I haven't looked at it in depth in terms of time. It's a full tournament. It's not like the old, you qualify and then the big teams from Europe come in for 2 games. It's almost like a World Cup. So here's my question to you boys. We'll start with Cozzy. What do we think of this? And if the tickets, I believe, I don't want to say this the wrong way. I think it's the opening game has only sold 25,000 tickets or something like that. Is this a case of the worm has finally turned and football supporters just gone, it's too much. We want a break. We can't afford these prices. And we're not going to the United States to watch Al Ahly play against Montevideo or something like that. We'd rather just see Chelsea and Real Madrid and Bayer Leverkusen or wherever the hell it is play friendlies in September or July, something like that. It seems like they've gone a bit too far.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. For me, gents, again, they're saying after the tickets haven't sold, and they'll just pay a lot of influencers to go, say it's an amazing time, and then the tickets will start selling out towards the end, because that's what FIFA can do, and that's what, do you know what I mean? So they'll just pay a fucking Jake Paul or someone to go with his entourage, live stream it like a Speed or someone like that, live stream the game and go, this is amazing, oh my God, you can come and meet Speed and all this kind of garbage. And yeah, so for me, it's too much footy. I completely switch off. Didn't even realise England were playing this weekend, last week. By the way, can't believe they lost to Senegal. That's hilarious. But I seen that popped up on my YouTube recommended, and I was like, oh my God, England lost to Senegal. And I turned it on to see Sadio Mane, and he wasn't even playing. It's good. But yeah, so it's not for me, gents. Again, it's not for me. But again, I keep saying this all the time. The clubs want to be in it because you get 100 million to win it. And whether we like this or not, I can tell you right now, mate, if Man City get another 100 million net, and really basically in the back of the old pockets to come home with, then trust me, mate, they will be back bigger and stronger next year. So, okay.
Brian, I mean, that is a tempting amount of money, but wouldn't it be funny if one of the lesser clubs won the very first one?
Oh, it'd be great. And I'm
Borg or something like that.
I am so cheering against Real Madrid on this right there. I mean, because that little gamble they made with their little 10 million thing right there, I am so excited. I hope that this right there, that is just egg in their face right there. But I mean, as far as it goes there, the competition, I mean, there's some South American sides right there that are actually fairly decent that are in this competition. So I mean, I wouldn't say that this is going to be like a complete walkthrough through like a City or a Chelsea. So I think that you have to kind of go with what it's at stake right there. You've got players who played all this whole entire the entire season, so you're dealing with fatigue issues. You're dealing with stuff. And if I'm right there, the South American sides right there just started Clausera, or it should be Apatera actually. It's like Argentinian sides right there. So these guys are just now in the middle of their opening of their leagues. So they may be in a better fitness spot right there. So it'd be great right there to see somebody else do it. And plus, right there, again, I'm not paying to see this mess. I mean, I've never been a fan of half these FIFA money scams, and this is just another one right there. I mean, the Intertoto Cup right there is probably about where it should have been at right there. I mean, I thought that was actually a perfect competition. You basically Intercontinental Cup, where you had South America come play the European champions, and then do it like that right there. But FIFA saw that there's an advantage of making money and doing a cash cow of this, and so they're just going to milk it as far as they can. And plus, this is also another thing for them to go against super leagues and things like that they want to try to fight, because they want the most money.
Suzy, do you think the fact that this Club World Cup in this format being in the United States of America is probably the most mistimed and poor piece of judgment ever? Because even within America, I mean, like if you're on the East Coast and you want to see your team and they're playing on the West Coast, that's a trek. That's a vacation. That's not just flying out, for an hour from Dublin to Manchester or from Dublin to Liverpool, or it's an hour and 15, 20 minutes from Dublin to London if you're like an Arsenal fan. That's a big trek across country to watch teams that, big teams will take the tournament seriously because there's a lot of money in it. The smaller teams that are in the groups, we don't even know what they're there for, because they probably have no chance. If it was in Europe, if it was in, say, like France or England, it would make a lot more sense. Or it was in Mexico or somewhere like that. Football cultures in relatively small areas. So do you think that it's kind of hamstrung itself already by where it's located?
Yeah, 100%. And I think, as Brian said, given the climate that we're in right now, to have it in America, it's, I mean, you're already going to struggle. And the fact that your two biggest British clubs aren't in it, that's already going against you. You don't have, Madrid are going to attract a lot more audience, or should, because, there's a lot more people that are attracted to Real Madrid than, say, Man City or Chelsea and Al Hilal. I don't know who's going to go watch Al Hilal and who even supports Al Hilal. So I think this is, in Infantino's head, this seemed like a good idea, being the precursor to next, World Cup next year, and, wiping Donald Trump's ass every day and so forth and whatever. It's just FIFA. They can't handle that. UEFA making more money than them. Exactly. And it's just a cash cow for FIFA, and just and watch, they're going to do this every year. I think they're going to do this every year, and they're going to realize, hold on, I wouldn't be surprised Liverpool, Man United are invited into it next year. Definitely Liverpool, I think, and our owners will go for it as well, because as Scouser said, the money that's on show, or the money, well, it won't happen next year because of the World Cup, but the year after, the money that's available, it's we're talking about generational wealth. It's going to be generational wealth for clubs as well.
FIFA have always wanted the Champions League. That's what they want. FIFA have wanted the Champions League. And the Champions League is the greatest tournament. It always will be. It's better than the World Cup. Sorry, it's controversial. I know. There's better quality of football in the Champions League, and that's the reason why I say that. I don't say by the drama and the atmosphere. I'm sorry, but there's better quality of football in the Champions League. And that's the killer. But there's also a reason, gents, since the dawn of time, soccer has tried to capture the American market. And always has and always will. Now, what I can say is, though, in the favour of FIFA of doing it, I know it's the precursor to the World Cup, and it's American and all this kind of stuff, but if you actually look now where America's going in terms of their sports, it's the least watched NBA finals because of the two teams that are in it, in terms of the Pacers and OKC. The NFL is getting less and less viewers because, of course, the politics in the NFL and what happened to all that previously. there's actually a market now where soccer is actually on the up and coming, and FIFA could be actually kind of clever in that sense. Because if you've got a kid who's 8 or 9, he's kind of into soccer, not into the Premier League because he doesn't watch it or whatever, and then you take him to this tournament, that's it. You've got them hooked. Do you know what I mean? Because they'll have fireworks and all this kind of stuff, mate. And I want to go and watch Messi and I go and watch, whoever it is, kind of deal. And I want to go and watch Mbappe because they've heard of Mbappe before. So I just think it's that kind of that I think it is smart business from FIFA in that sense. But again, I think FIFA have always wanted the Champions League, unfortunately.
I don't know anything about NBA and NFL and all that, but I do know that there was a time about 7-8 years ago where registered players, youth players for soccer, was higher than registered players for baseball at the youth level. Like, it was killing baseball at that point. I think you've got a perfectly valid point there that they want the American market, but it's probably a lot further along than we think, and not because of football on television, it's because of computer games.
Yeah, I mean, but
that's actually been the biggest thing to get kids in America into the game.
But you just pay a few influencers to come along and who hand it into footy and all this kind of stuff. Yeah. It is what it is. But again, there has to be a spark. And I think right now there's also a lot of parents who are growing up now with kids who don't want their kids to play American football. They just don't want to do it. It's too violent. You know what I mean? So they just kind of so that's where footy, and also it's getting so expensive to play kids sports in schools. It's too expensive. You want to play football, our version of footy soccer, kind of thing, with a park and with a kid. It's so easy. You get a ball and you go to the park and you kick it around and that's it. Do you know what I mean? Now you can't do that playing American football, can you? So I just think right now is probably the perfect time to actually capture that market. In terms of when the World Cup's coming next year, I think it's a genius stroke from FIFA for putting it on in America.
The only objection I would have to that is that they were that smart. They would have put Liverpool in there and not Chelsea.
Because they haven't won the Champions League for the last 5 years, and that's why they haven't been in the Champions League final.
Was that the criteria?
That's why Chelsea got in, because Chelsea won it in 21 or something. That's why Chelsea got in. Yeah, ridiculous nonsense. But at least Cole Palmer might get a decent barber while he's here. Cole Palmer doesn't even know what he is.
That's very true.
He's winning the World Cup.
What's the
World Cup?
He thinks this is a very warm part of Doncaster.
Putting Cole Palmer in Texas could be fucking hilarious. You know what? I'm tuning in just to watch Chelsea play in Texas in the height of summer. Yeah,
that would be right. Brian, did I get your opinion on the Club World Cup? Because I don't want to miss you out on that.
Oh, I said, it's just a cash cow. I've got no opinion other than that right there, and I'm not watching it because I got other things to do.
Brushing my teeth and washing my head of skin of dandruff. So let's go. Because he wasn't here to start, right here the game. The game for this week. It's not room 433. Okay. It's not what did we do last week? Whatever we did last week, it was fun. It's wife swap, but for soccer players or football players. If you're Darren bored, sorry, Darren, but let's be honest, soccer was an English word in England before it was an American word.
Yeah, I said soccer because it's an American audience.
Guys. Yeah, no, seriously, we cater to our people.
I'm talking about American football and soccer in the same sentence.
Yeah, you go.
Change somehow.
So here's what we have to do. You have to memorize this, except for one change for very obvious reasons. It won't be TAA Arnold. There'll be Jeremy Frimpong. But this is the team, right? This is the Liverpool team as is for now, because the Wirtz thing is happening so painfully slowly that I'm starting to doubt it will ever happen at all. But the Liverpool team pretty much starting from last year. Here's what you got to do. You got to pick 3. You can pick the same ones, and you got to take a player out of that Liverpool team and replace him with one of these. Oh, God. I love my moral dilemmas.
Jeez.
Okay, I'll go.
Cristiano Ronaldo, Peter Schmeichel, Wayne Rooney, Paul Scholes, Dennis Irwin, and Roy Keane.
I can go.
Sure, what you want to be doing smiling for?
Yeah, I'm
baby, load of rubbish.
I'm gonna take. This is actually quite easy for me. I'm taking Rooney up front all day. I think Rooney's one of the best players I've ever seen. Unfortunately, Wayne Rooney would replace Jota. Roy Keane would replace Gravenberch comfortably. Roy Keane was a joke. For people who I know, again, this new audiences, Roy Keane is a joke. You might know him off all your memes and on It's Called Soccer or something like that. Whatever's the overlap. He's brilliant. And the last one I'm taking is Dennis Irwin. Dennis Irwin was a joke. Dennis Irwin scored like 70-odd goals from fullback.
Yeah, something like that, yeah.
He was a joke. Played left back, right back. Could play both sides.
Played centre defence as well, if I remember.
Unbelievable. And based on last year's Robertson, I'd have Irwin. But 3-year Robertson, that's more of a conversation to have. But based on last year's Robertson, which is the conversation, it's based on last year. Then I'm having Dennis Irwin.
Okay, so any objections to those? Any additions? Those are fairly solid choices. Brian, who's your three? Who's your three wife swaps that you're going to put in? Legendary Man United Premier League players for next season.
I'm going to go with I kind of agree with Kazi right there.
Just before you go on, just to caveat that these are the Man United players in their prime versus the Liverpool players as they are now. I want to see who's going to take the dilemma of Peter Schmeichel versus Alisson as he is now.
I don't want the 61-year-old Roy Keane in my midfield on this.
He could probably still do a job now, to be fair.
Yeah, he was a player. Go on, Brian.
All right, so in their prime, right there, is this in the prime of playing for United?
Yeah,
that's when their prime was. Yeah.
Marco Ronaldo wasn't on this ascendancy right there, so I'm not going to put he's in a prime at that point right there. So I'm not picking him on there because I think he was a better player at Real Madrid. I'm going to say right there, I'll go with Shrek up front right there, obviously right there to take place of Jota right there. Next one right there, I'm going to Szoboszlai's got to go right there. I'm putting Paul Scholes there. I mean, that's in a heartbeat right there. And then the next one right there is I'm going to go and take out. It's a controversial one right there. I'm going to take out McAllister and put Roy Keane there.
No.
Tell us why, Brian.
I think that the overall strength of the muscle that Roy Keane had in there had for that United side, especially I hate to say it, that 99 side right there, that was a Roy Keane basically, even though he was down toward his going as a descendancy of a player right there, he basically muscled that game, that season right there for them right there. So, I mean that's why I'm going to also go the same thing with Scholes right there. Because I think right there, neck and neck right there, people go this whole midfield, analysis of who was the better English midfielder during that peak period right there, because it was a combination between Lampard, Gerrard, and Scholes. I think that right there, in a lot of ways right there, Scholes was just his work rate was so amazing right there for at one point right there. And I think that's one thing that would take Szoboszlai out, because Szoboszlai's work rate's not there. And I think that Scholes would come in there and take that place in there. So that'd be my three.
Let me challenge you.
I was taking Szoboszlai out and replacing him with no one. But that's if you want to throw a player in there.
That's just you, because don't let a man
over Gravenberch, don't like over Gravenberch, really, Brian? You'd rather have. Come on, Mac.
Here's my question though. You've got Paul Scholes, you've got Roy Keane, and you've got Ibu Kanate on your team. Are you finishing with 11 players most games?
I think Roy Keane will probably get off before all three of them right there. Before the three of those guys.
Right. We look like a bag of rags when McAllister's not playing. We look like a bag of rags. He's the only one where you take out and you just don't look the same team anymore. Do you know what I mean?
But again, right there, you're going to see the same thing with that basically Scholes basically takes that same spot right there was McAllister, because and I give you your Dennis Irwin right there, because again, another underrated player that people don't talk as much about, because he was tight, he did his job, and went about his business right there. And I don't think that Alex Ferguson would have had the success that he had right there with having that type of work rate. But I do think that Scholes right there in the long run was just a tight, again, his work rate that he had, and he was just a pain in the ass to us so many times. I mean, and that's the thing that that you can go with him. And Roy Keane's this muscle. I mean, he's just an asshole. I mean, and he still is as a commentator. But I think on the pitch right there, it was his personality right there that he had.
Here's my question for whoever picks Roy Keane. Would he have got on with Jurgen Klopp?
No, but Jurgen Klopp weren't the manager.
No. This is nothing to do with the game. Just philosophically, what you've got on with Jurgen Klopp?
Yeah, listen, he used to deal with Brian Clough, and that says it all. And he was a fucking idiot as well.
Yeah, that is true. Yeah.
As much as we love Jurgen must be hard work at times to be, for you to be a manager for. But nah, mate.
What is he talking about? He was saying something in German to me.
Yeah, that's his job.
He's a big baby. He's a big baby.
Ruin my day.
Bring us back to sanity. Who are you kicking out and who are you taking in?
Roy Keane, I'll put in instead of Szoboszlai, and I'll move Gravenberch up further up front along with McAllister. Rooney, I'm replacing Jota Rooney.
Easiest one.
And then I'll put Ronaldo on the left. I think even prior to moving to Madrid, Ronaldo was still unplayable in the league. So given the choice out of Gakpo and Diaz, I'd put Ronaldo on the left.
Wasn't it Ronaldo left and Beckham right?
No.
Yeah. Am I getting that wrong?
For the 08 team, I think it was Ronaldo on the left and Nani on.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, Nani on the right. Yeah.
The 08 90 was the one that won the double, innit? I think I think it was Ronaldo who got 44 that season. I think it was off the right. I think that's why I didn't put Ronaldo in, because I think it was Salah's side. I might be wrong. I think it was Nani on the left, and then he had Tevez, Rooney, Berbatov, and someone else up front, some other bum.
Yeah, wasn't that Nani debut goal? He comes in off the left and pings in that like.
And I'm pretty sure Nani was on the left and Ronaldo was on the right.
Now, here's my question to you, because he's the only one that picked who was arguably one of at least the top two best players for a long time in the 2010s. Would you accommodate, boys, and we can start with Sazi because it's his pick, would you accommodate the team to have Ronaldo and Mohamed Salah and Wayne Rooney up front? What would that be tempting enough for you to change things a bit?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, definitely. I mean, we had Sadio Mane and Salah and Bobby, and arguably they're one of the best free attackers in the world, for that period. So, yeah, absolutely. Rooney, as much as don't like him or whatever, he was probably one of the best English players I've seen. And again, Ronaldo has his detractors, but you can't deny his talent and his professionalism to his craft, and then obviously Salah isn't. So, but yeah, absolutely. I'd accommodate for them three.
I didn't realize I could change positions. That's why I just went with like position for position. If you were to ask me, Ronaldo,
well, I didn't say you couldn't. I didn't say you could, but right. just because of the quality of the players. I mean, imagine you had Ronaldo, Rooney, Salah, and Dennis Irwin at left back with the free kicks. The free kicks from that team would be just mental.
Oh, mate, Dennis. For anyone, again, we have new listeners and new people to the sports. Go and Google Dennis Irwin's highlights. Mate, Dennis Irwin was a joke. And what I love about him, I think he was 38 or 39. He went to Wolves. I think he played like 52 games that season for them. He was unbelievable as well. So he was a top player. But he was
almost the James Milner before James Milner. He was like the Ribena boy.
Yeah, he's hard to compare now because it's hard to find a fullback these days that play both sides. So it's really hard to compare. He was both feet, really good on both feet. He was just a really 7.5, 8 out of 10 every single week. And finding those players are gold dust now. That's what I'm saying. They're so hard to find, just a consistent 7 out of 10. If they do, they cost you 150 million, no matter what position.
Or if you don't stay healthy, it'd be Joe Gomez.
Yeah, probably the closest. Yeah, I suppose. But of course, Irvin had a goal in him. But as someone who can play both sides, you know what I mean? Dennis was tremendous, and again, he was perfect for the time as well. Really.
So there's two things that I can take from tonight, and thanks for taking part and playing this game, boys.
Yeah, never again.
Nobody, we'll do it next week with Leeds. Nobody wants Peter Schmeichel in over Alisson. I think that's a fair indictment on the difference in talent level between the two, and everybody wants Jota out effectively, not because it's Jota, but because we are so damn weak at that spot. The club better be watching this show tonight and doing something about it.
I'd even go to the point of putting Van Persie right there above Jota right there. I think that Van Persie right there would have been even coming out of the Arsenal, coming through that. Van Persie was not a bad yeah.
He was great. I can't argue with that. I think it's hard with Jota because you're comparing Rooney, who's in my opinion, I would put him in my starting 11 for the greatest ever Premier League side. You know what I mean? Just for his work rate alone, plays multiple positions. He can bail me out playing left wing, right wing, and all this. But comparing to him, I think it's just so difficult. If you ask me for probably any striker in Liverpool in the Premier League, Rooney probably starts over them.
I mean, even at his fat old age, there's still that great clip of him. What was the MLS clip he was at where he chases the ball down to the halfway line,
brilliant,
and turns around and sends it into the box, pinpoint for a header.
Oh, it's a joke. It
is, isn't it? Like,
it's a joke. It's a joke.
I mean, like I've been relatively lucky to have played against actual professional and got absolutely a hiding against ex-professional players. Like they are so quick and good, but that kind of talent is just even levels above that. Like to see an old fat 20 a day, 2 pies for his halftime break, Wayne Rooney destroying the Major League Soccer teams like that is just that's when you know you had something special. I also saw his first goal. Like that was my wife's introduction to football. Match of the day, which the first time she came to Ireland, match of the day happened to be on when he scored that goal against Arsenal, and I was like, crap, he plays for that team. She didn't understand it.
I remember the name. Very famous bit of commentary back in the UK. Remember the name.
16 years old.
And you were right.
Remember the name and lock up your grannies. I think that's what he said.
Remember the name, Ben Woodburn. No, I'm joking. But listen, he was an unbelievable player, and
he was a great player.
I've had enough of Man United players now. Can you compliment these ones? These ones are hilarious. These ones are funny.
The next ones are going to be what's his name, Jemba and Mark Bosnich.
So good they named them twice.
That's true, yeah, and paid from twice too. So with that said, that will be the end of that game. We'll bring back maybe Room 433 next week. Mostly when I'm awake enough to think of a good one for you, boys. But with World War III breaking out, apparently, we're all going to get to Betty boys. I'm off to buy a lead-lined shed for my backyard. I don't know what you guys are doing.
Is that what your weekend is about now?
That's a lead-lined shed in my backyard and a case of Tang.
What I might be sounding silly. What are you putting in your lead-lined shed, and what is it for? Oh, yeah,
you're not a child of the early 80s nuclear beer, no. Are you? No, that's everybody wanted their lead-lined sheds for the radiation. There's a whole Only Fools and Horses episode about it. Yeah.
So the question is now, it's 2025. Why are you buying a lead-lined shed then?
Why or where?
Why?
We're about to get nuked.
Oh yeah, you didn't see anything. Yeah. Israel just attacked.
Where do you, yeah, because I'm sure Connecticut is high on the list.
It is. I'm here for a start. What was I going to say? Just my problem. This is even more important than world politics. So see, it looks like Vincent Company. The Lazy Gamer says.
Well, where's that ban button? Ban on.
No, that's not getting banned. That's a perfectly good description. He was he broke our hearts, but he was still a class player. Let's be honest. Vincent
he was a tremendous footy player.
He was a great player.
That left goal. My God.
And if he wasn't at Bayern Munich, we'd be calling him a terrible manager as well.
Can I ask you a question, though, gents, before we go? With the footy, do you guys just switch off from watching footy in the summer? Or do you guys are you guys still watching international footy and that? Brian, really?
I still watch.
Are you entertained by it, or is it just because you like football? Is it entertaining football to watch?
Oh, I was so for instance, right there, I watched a little bit of this past weekend. I watched the nations thing for Europe right there with Spain and Portugal. I watched that, but a lot of times I'll come there and flip on. I watch Argentinian football. I think I find that entertaining to me. I mean, because I think Argentinian football is probably the closest thing right there you can get in South America to watching English football, because the pace and just the amount of fervor that you have, a Vélez Sarsfield versus a Boca Juniors type of match right there. It just has energy to it right there, and I think it's more of being an energy junkie and of watching it right there. And that's a lot of times I'll watch that. I can't watch Brazilian league as much right there. It is too messy for me to watch.
The Brazilian league football is horrific. It's as direct as National League or like the League Two.
It's hard this for me because I used to be like you, Brian. I used to watch everything, and then I suppose when I got older, I just kind of switched. I used to watch the Italian league and the German league all the time in the UK when I was growing up. Like I was knowing about players when they used to get linked with someone. I was like, no, don't sign him, he's boss. Like, do you know what I mean? Because Liverpool were never in for them. Liverpool were never in for boss players, and I used to sit there and go, please don't sign him, he's unreal. And yeah, I just can't get into it anymore. If it's not Liverpool or the Prem, I'm just kind of lost on it a little bit. You know what I mean? I watched the playoff final. I watched it. You know what I mean? That was a bit of fun, I suppose. But yeah, man, I like to switch off these days. I really do.
Yeah, there was a time I would watch literally everything because I was coaching, so I was doing like every single bit of it. I couldn't get enough of it. But then I got a real job and didn't have the time. And now I take value in the time I have not doing literally anything. I just don't do anything because it's the older you get, the more precious the moments of silence are. There's your philosophy for the night. Last question before we go: do we think we will wait until the Adidas kit comes out?
No, absolutely not. We're not waiting until August 1st to release it.
I don't think Adidas have any choice in the matter. Adidas sit there and wait. They might not announce him with a picture of holding a kit, but Liverpool would definitely announce him if they had to.
Yeah.
There's also a part of this which no one kind of considers as well, which I have been considering. Do you know how long it takes to get the media that Liverpool want for their clicks on their social media? I didn't know this. Liverpool are the most viewed social media team in the world.
Yeah.
They want their clicks. Liverpool.
That's just an an.
It's just an an. And Liverpool, I think Liverpool earn around 15 million a year from their YouTube channel alone, which is like, you know what I mean? Like the revenue. If you are about to announce the biggest signing in Liverpool's history in terms of finance paid, at least, then you want the media team to be correct. Yeah. And again, I don't think it's that. By the way, that's holding up. I just think it's money up front.
It's a huge.
And when you have to wait till August the 1st, right there, for that deal to come through anyway, for Adidas to come through.
Yeah. We're not waiting till August 1st to release.
No, definitely not. I think Liverpool want this confirmed as soon as possible. Liverpool need to move on. There's also this is another part which no one considers. Liverpool want to move on. Liverpool don't want to just keep being up by Leverkusen going, so an extra 3 million. Like, they want to move on. They want to get on with their lives. They all want to go on holiday. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, this is another part.
If you took any lessons from the last bloke who was in charge of transfers, they'd have been doing it on their holiday. On their holiday.
What a guy. Macka. But no, I just think it's a very complicated deal. I really do. I think there's a media side of this, and I also think there's a side with this money up front. I honestly, I think Liverpool I think fans are really getting agitated by it. But Liverpool do not want to spunk all the money up front on a player, and then an opportunity might arise. First of all, Liverpool have to do more business past these three. Liverpool still have to do other business that they have to pay for. And that's why I think the Kirkes deal is kind of just waiting there. Because, like, can we just sort this out before we have to pay you, Bournemouth? Like, can we sort this before we pay you? Oh, by the way, we've had to give Leverkusen an extra 30 million up front to get him over the line. We only have 15. Oh, that's not good enough. Well, we give you Harvey Elliott on the cheap. Do you know what I mean? That's how business works, and you know what I mean. It's a bit like the Brentford thing. Brentford keep buying our players off us, so Liverpool have a good relationship with Brentford, and they might just call them and go, "Can you take Ben Doak for 16 million?" You know, it's just all a part of the dance that has to come. I'm frustrated though. I really am frustrated. It's annoying, but I think if Liverpool got over the line, it would be announced 100%.
I think really the lot of things you're talking about are just these bonuses right there that, you know, that to go that they're hanging things up right there with Verts. And I think that's your biggest thing right there. But I agree with you right there. Kirkes right there for the most part is just a deal waiting to hang. And I also think that there is something else happening out there that isn't being discussed right there as far as a forward. I think that a forward is definitely going to happen right there, but I think it's all hinged. They're really hoping that Nunez is going to come in there and agree to this Saudi deal, which I don't think he is. But I think Nunez is going to go to Italy. I think that's going to happen. I think the AC Milan has inquired, and so I think that may be a thing that happens.
I seen a tweet out. I got to tell you this before we go about the Verts deal. I said, it's 127 million, like the price of the deal, and if it rises to 150, and one of the bonuses is like, they get an extra 10 million if he wins the Ballon d'Or, and someone just put, so it's 127 million then, because he's definitely winning the Ballon d'Or. He's winning it for us, lads. Like, it's happening.
Let me ask you one final question, boys, before we depart for the night, and it's a simple yes/no question. Virts' first press conference, do you think he'll be speaking in English that he's been earning for 2 years?
Oh boy, I
love if he came out and started speaking Dutch.
I love that other guy. I don't love
Speaks
words.
Mandarin.
I love the other guy. I love him more than life itself. I will happily smile the day he dies. I am done with it. Nothing worse than a rat and a snake, and that's exactly what he is. And yeah, he's just nothing to me. And by the way, I'm bang into him taking number 12. He has 1-2 written on his back. Like, I want to UCU defend. So can we have that for the second, Trent? But yeah.
Well, it's apt because Judas was the 12th disciple. So
Judas was the 12th disciple, indeed. What a guy he is. But no, Florian Wirtz, please. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, let's have that. Let's have that on our plate. And then just that's also to double jinx that parable there, that the replacement 12th disciple nobody can ever name. So let's hope Frimpong doesn't disappear out of the history books like Judas's replacement did. It was Matthias, for anybody who's
was it? Yeah. Who's he play for?
Brentford.
Who's he up Brentford? Yeah.
Yeah, you're not Brentford. Right, Brian, Suzie, and Cozzy, thank you very much. Before we go, this is the first time ever Scouser in Australia, Addictive Recovery. Thank you for watching. I know it's probably, if Suzie is in the wrong time zone by 5 days, as it is now, he's still in last Tuesday, Addicted Recovery. You're probably in 3 weeks ago. So
don't tell we won the league.
Yeah, don't tell. Yeah, we didn't win the league yet. Just keep watching, and make sure you do all that stuff. Yeah, we look to see more of you, and I don't mean send us pictures. That would be bad. That would be bad. We've had that before. So for everybody else there, if you're watching us anywhere, follow us on YouTube, follow us on Facebook and Instagram and X and Blue Sky and Mastodon and whatever's going on these days with the kids, Bebo, MySpace, and AOL, and Hotmail Messenger, and Skype, TikTok, all of those things. Follow us on, and we will see everybody next Thursday. And I believe there's a coffee show tomorrow. There better be, because I'm wrong. I don't know. Keep an eye out. Alan says Discord as well. Follow us on Discord if you want to see the absolute madness. That's where the absolute madness happens. It is a thing in itself, a thing of beauty, especially when Cozzy gets on there. But we will see everybody next Thursday. Keep an eye out for all of the announcements. It's time for some funky music and for us all to go to beddy, boys, except for Cozzy, because it's only 9 o'clock in the morning for him. We will leave him to ponder his thoughts on Trent Alexander-Arnold. Have a good one. Enjoy any soccer you may watch, or football if you're that precious about it. And we will see everybody next time. Peace out, and get your World War II helmets on.